My fiancée went live and bragged that she slept with her ex. He's so clueless, she sneered, not realizing I was watching. So I dropped a comment. Good to know. Wedding's off. Her face went from cocky to cooked in an instant. Hey, everyone, before we dive into today's video, I need your help. The channel's been losing some traction lately, and one of the easiest, best ways you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button. It's quick, free, and it really does help us keep bringing you great content. Your support honestly means the world. Let's keep this community growing together. Thanks so much. Now, let's get into the story. Alright, Reddit, this happened. About 6 months ago, my fiancée's friend decided to start a live stream during their girls' night. Stacy, being the genius she is, started bragging about how she was tricking me. I left a comment. She freaked out. 40 minutes later, she showed up with her mom, both of them screaming. What followed was a complete shit show. Grab your popcorn, boys. I'm a 34-year-old guy, and I was engaged to Stacy, 27. We'd been together for 3 years after meeting through a mutual friend at a bike rally in downtown Austin. I own a motorcycle repair shop that I built from the ground up over the last decade. We specialize in classic American bikes and high-end custom builds. I clear about $140,000 a year with a 6-month waiting list for custom projects and a steady stream of repair work from collectors who won't trust their vintage Harleys or Indians to anyone else. I grew up with a wrench in my hand. My dad ran his own auto shop until he retired, and my mom handled the books. They taught me 2 big things: how to build something that lasts and how not to get screwed financially. My dad always said, in business and relationships, know exactly what you're signing up for. Stacy's dad, Robert, is a retired Marine colonel who started a security consulting firm after leaving the Corps. Solid guy, always treated me with respect. He appreciated my work ethic and business sense. He'd even stop by the shop just to talk bikes and business. Once, I overheard him telling his wife, Jensen's got his head on straight. Her mom, Karen, on the other hand, classic country club trophy wife, married into money, never worked a day in her life, and made sure everyone knew their family was Westlake Hills material. She tolerated me at best, constantly dropping hints about how Stacy's ex, Brad, was making real money now. Every dinner, she'd ask about my little shop like I was running a lemonade stand. Stacy was different from the women I'd dated before. She was social media obsessed, always chasing trends. Worked part-time at a boutique downtown, made about $38,000 a year, and spent more time dreaming about becoming an influencer than actually working. She'd spend hours setting up the perfect Instagram shot of her coffee, then complain she couldn't afford a down payment on a Range Rover. Her family had money, not Texas oil-rich money, but enough that she never learned the value of a dollar. My past relationships were with women who had careers and ambition. With Stacy, I always felt like the responsible adult, but she was beautiful, fun, and when she focused her attention on you, it felt like standing in the spotlight. I mistook that rush for something deeper. Looking back, the signs were there. Like when my shop won a local business award last year. She bailed on the ceremony at the last minute for an influencer event. It's just bikes, Jensen. This could be my big break. She didn't even text to ask how it went, or how she'd scroll Instagram while I talked about a new custom build, glancing up just long enough to say, "That's nice," before asking if we could eat somewhere more Instagrammable than my favorite BBQ joint. She once suggested I rebrand my shop with a more aesthetic color scheme because, apparently, black and chrome is so dated. I nearly choked on my drink. Then there was the weekend I spent rebuilding a classic '69 Triumph, over 60 hours of work, sourcing rare parts across 3 states, solving mechanical problems most people would quit over. When I finished, I asked her to come see it. She walked into the garage, looked at it for maybe 3 seconds, and said, "Honestly, they all look the same. I don't know why you waste so much time on this stuff." That comment stuck with me. Or when we were house hunting, I showed her a property with the perfect 3-car garage and workshop. She immediately asked if we could convert it into a content creation studio. "That's where the real money is," she said, when I pointed out that my hobby paid our bills. She rolled her eyes. "For now, but once I hit 100,000 followers, we'll be on a different level." For the record, she stayed stuck at 3,920 followers the entire time we dated. The proposal was 10 months ago. Cost me nearly $4,000 plus another $9,000 for the custom ring. I spent weeks planning it, coordinating with the restaurant, making sure everything was perfect. She said yes, cried, and posted about it within 30 seconds. Wedding was set for September. Venue booked, deposits paid, 175 guests confirmed. By this point, I'd sunk about $22,000 into it all. Stacy had contributed exactly zero. My job is to look beautiful, she'd joke whenever I brought up the costs. I'd been putting in extra hours at the shop to cover it all, taking on high-margin custom jobs, expanding the service department. The business was growing, so I didn't mind too much, but my cash reserves were definitely taking a hit. Last Friday night was Stacy's girls' night. I was at home working on blueprints for a custom Indian chief build, half watching the Spurs game. I noticed her friend Taylor had gone live on Instagram. The stream was titled Bride Tribe Confessions. Taylor's the type who runs her mouth without engaging her brain. She's been Stacy's best friend since UT, and I always found her about as authentic as a $3 Rolex. I clicked on it, expecting harmless wedding chatter. There was Stacy front and center with Taylor, Jess, Zoe, and my cousin's wife, Amy, who I thought was my friend first. Then Taylor looked at Stacy with this smug grin. So, real talk, how's he holding up with all this? Still doing that annoying thing where he tracks every penny of the wedding budget? Stacy actually snorted. Oh my god, Jensen is such a dumbass. He thinks this whole wedding is just about ticking boxes, budgets, and timelines. He has absolutely no clue about the real stuff. Like how I'm going to redecorate that man cave of his the minute we get back from the honeymoon. Taylor cackled. Please, Stacy waved her hand. That garage workshop is the first thing to go. I've already got a contractor lined up to turn it into a proper filming studio and walk-in closet. Jensen can rent space somewhere else if he wants to play with his bikes. My stomach dropped. That workshop was my sanctuary, built with my own hands, wired exactly how I needed it, filled with specialized equipment and storage systems I designed myself. Zoe jumped in with a fox-concerned look. I just worry that you're settling. Mel, you always talked about marrying someone more ambitious, more on your level socially. Honestly, sometimes I think he's more in love with his stupid bikes than with you. Stacy slurred slightly. Whatever, he's easy to manage and he's got a good income. That'll fund the house I want in Westlake Hills and the Europe trips I've been planning. Once I train him properly. Jess leaned forward with a grin. That's exactly why I told you to lock it down. My aunt married a plumber, total bore, but he's loaded now. 3 locations. Just smile, nod at their boring shop talk, and enjoy the financial security. He's completely whipped. Taylor added, remember when he wanted to use some of the wedding budget for that motorcycle charity thing, and you just had to mention how the bridesmaids would be disappointed with cheaper dresses, and he folded immediately. That charity? For veterans with PTSD. Motorcycle restoration as therapy. I wanted to donate $2,000 and volunteer. I gave in because Stacy made it seem so important for the bridesmaids to have perfect dresses. Now I was hearing it was all manipulation. Pretty much, Stacy said. He's so boring and predictable. So safe. He'd never suspect anything. Thinks I'm his perfect princess. Speaking of not suspecting anything, Taylor grinned. Stacy giggled, leaning in. Jensen is so freaking clueless. I met up with Brad 2 weeks ago when Jensen was at that parts expo in Dallas. The girls gasped except Amy, who suddenly found her wine glass very interesting. You did not sleep with Brad, Zoe squealed. Stacy's face said it all. Maybe, and maybe it wasn't the first time since Jensen and I got together. Holy, Taylor high-fived her. And Jensen has no idea? None, Stacy smirked. He's too busy to notice anything. Brad's been texting me the whole time I've been with Jensen. It's not serious or anything, but the sex is way better. And Brad actually knows how to have fun. The venue really was beautiful. Jensen had seemed excited about it. What a complete idiot. Stacy cut in, loud enough to drown me out. They all laughed. Everyone except Amy. I didn't even feel angry, just this strange clarity, like someone had finally flipped on the lights in a room I'd been stumbling around in for 3 years. Every red flag, every compromise, every time I'd silenced that quiet voice in my head telling me something wasn't right. It all made sense now. I was never her partner. I typed into the live chat under my actual account. Good to know what you really think. The comments were flying so fast it was hard to keep up, but Taylor saw it first. Her eyes went wide. Stacy, she muttered, pointing at the screen. Stacy leaned in, squinting. Her smile froze. Then pure panic, her face went white. I typed again. Stacy, since you're sharing with everyone how much of a dumbass I am, let's be clear. The wedding is off. Engagement over. Find someone else's income to fund your Westlake Hills dreams. Brad can pay for it. She fumbled with her phone, trying to end the stream. Taylor, stop it. End the stream. The last thing I saw before it went black was her horrified face. Her friends looked equally stunned. Amy looked right at the camera and mouthed, "I'm sorry." My phone immediately lit up. Stacy and Taylor both calling and texting. I put my phone on airplane mode, took the ring, and locked it in my safe. Then I sat down and made a list everything I needed to handle: legal protection, financial separation, securing property, notifying vendors, dealing with housing. I've always been methodical. This was no different. No point in getting emotional when there's work to be done. 40 minutes later, my doorbell rang. Stacy was standing there, mascara streaked down her cheeks like a raccoon caught in headlights. Behind her was her mom, Karen, looking like she was about to demand to speak to a manager. "Jensen, please?" Stacy's voice cracked. It was a joke. Just stupid girl talk. We were all just being silly. It didn't mean anything. Karen stepped forward, adjusting her blouse like she was gearing up for battle. "Young man, you have humiliated my daughter over some meaningless female bonding. You can't just call off a wedding over something so trivial. Do you have any idea what people will say?" I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Was it a joke when you called me a dumbass? Was it a joke when you said I was easy to manage, that my only value was funding your lifestyle? Was sleeping with Brad a joke too? No, I mean, yes, I said those things, but it was Taylor egging me on and the wine. You know I love you, and I didn't sleep with Brad. I was just making stuff up to sound cool, right? Because that's what people in committed relationships do, brag about fictional affairs to impress their friends. I don't think you do, Stacy, and I definitely don't love the person I just saw in that video. This is ridiculous." Karen cut in. "We have deposits paid, a $23,000 venue, guests invited from out of state. You are going to fix this." "Jensen, I won't have my daughter humiliated." I laughed. "Couldn't help it." "Karen, your daughter just publicly announced her plans to use me as her personal ATM and bragged about cheating on me. There's nothing to fix here except the mistake I made proposing to her in the first place. You don't understand." Karen hissed. "My daughter has a certain position to maintain. Her friends all know about the wedding. How do you think this makes her look? Like someone who got caught showing her true colors?" I replied. "Not my problem." Stacy started sobbing harder. "My dress cost $6,800. The venue is perfect. My friends all saw. You've ruined everything. You did that yourself. If you want someone to blame, find a mirror." Karen stepped closer, jabbing a finger at me. "If you think Robert will let you walk away from this commitment, you're wrong. He's on his way here now." "Great. Can't wait to hear what he thinks about his daughter cheating on me and calling me a dumbass in front of the whole internet." I told them to leave. Karen kept threatening me, but I wasn't concerned. I'd done nothing wrong, and I had video evidence of Stacy's comments and her admission of cheating. Eventually, they left, but not before Karen promised, "This isn't over." My phone kept lighting up with texts from her friends, some angry, some trying to explain what she really meant. I took screenshots of everything for documentation. When you're dealing with people like this, evidence is your best defense. I turned my phone back on just long enough to text my best friend Ryan, "Wedding's off. Need a place to crash." Within 10 minutes, he was at my door with a duffel bag and his spare key. "I don't want to be here when she comes back," I told him. "And she will come back." "Damn right she will," Ryan said. "What the hell happened?" I showed him the screen recording of the live stream. "Jesus Christ, dude. What a snake." He handed me a drink. "Pack your stuff. You're staying with me until we figure this out." I grabbed my important documents and essentials. That night, from Ryan's place, I made 2 calls, one to my lawyer, Sarah, and one to a locksmith to change the locks first thing in the morning. I wasn't leaving anything to chance. "Send me the recording," Sarah said after I explained the situation. "I know exactly what we're dealing with here." She wasn't just my business attorney, she'd handled her fair share of ugly breakups. She'd helped a buddy of mine when his ex tried to claim part ownership of his construction business despite never contributing a dime. Just as we were about to leave, Robert showed up alone. His expression was grim, his military bearing still sharp even in civilian clothes. "Jensen," he said evenly. "Got a minute?" I nodded, telling Ryan to wait in the car. Robert and I stepped onto the porch. I saw the video, he said bluntly. Karen showed it to me, thinking it would make me come down on Stacy's side. He sighed. She was wrong. I didn't know what to say. I've always respected you, Jensen. You remind me of myself at your age, building something real, working with your hands, honest to a fault. I raised Stacy to be better than this. His jaw tightened. Whatever happens next, I want you to know I don't blame you. He put a hand on my shoulder. Do what you need to do. I've got my own mess to sort out. As he turned to leave, he paused. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry. Truly. The next morning, I met Sarah at her downtown office. She'd already reviewed the video and drafted the initial paperwork before I even arrived. Smart lawyer, she laid it out. 2 main priorities: protect me and my business from harassment, and untangle any financial TIs before they became a problem. She spread several documents across her desk as she spoke. Document everything, every call, every text, every encounter. Texas being a one-party consent state meant I could legally record any interaction. If Stacy showed up, we'd file for a temporary restraining order based on harassment with the video as rock-solid evidence. Halfway through our meeting, Diego called from the shop. Stacy and her mom are here, he said, making a scene, yelling at customers, demanding you come out and fix this mess. I asked them to leave twice. Karen's now threatening to call the Better Business Bureau. I'm on my way, I told him, putting the phone on speaker so Sarah could hear. Want to witness this firsthand? I asked her. Absolutely, she nodded. It'll strengthen our case. When we arrived, Stacy and Karen were still. There's Stacy crying, Karen demanding I take responsibility for destroying her daughter's life. My shop manager, Diego, who's been with me since day one, was standing between them and the restricted workshop area. Ma'am, I've already told you Mr. Thompson is not available, Diego said firmly. This is a place of business. If you don't leave, I'll have to call the police. Don't you dare threaten me. Do you have any idea who my husband is? Karen snapped. Someone who's about to be very embarrassed when the police arrive, Diego replied calmly. 2 customers were watching uncomfortably. Another had pulled out his phone and was recording. Sarah stepped forward. Ms. Parker, Mrs. Parker, I'm Sarah Michaels, Mr. Thompson's attorney. You are currently trespassing on private property and harassing the employees and customers of this establishment. Karen turned, eyes narrowing. He already has. A lawyer? Well, that proves he was planning to abandon my daughter all along. No, ma'am, Sarah said evenly. It proves he's responding appropriately to harassment. I strongly suggest you both leave immediately. Any further communication should go through my office. She handed Karen her card. You can't be serious, Stacy said, looking at me with pleading eyes. Jensen, tell her we don't need lawyers. We can work this out. Cheating, I said quietly. Please leave my shop now. You heard him, Diego added. And just so we're clear, I've already called the police. They should be here any minute. That got their attention. Karen grabbed Stacy's arm. Come on. We're not done with this, but we're not doing it here. Diego, who'd been with me since day one, just shook his head after they left. Boss, I've seen guys drop their bikes at 80 miles per hour and walk away with less damage than what you just dodged. That incident sealed it for me. I wasn't going to wait for this to spiral further. I'd already sent Sarah the full recording of the live stream, plus security camera footage of Stacy and Karen's meltdown. This is textbook harassment, Sarah said during our meeting that afternoon. Given what I'm seeing, we need to move straight to legal protection. Let's file for a restraining order immediately. I nodded. Do it. I know how these things go. She's not going to back off peacefully. Sarah was already typing notes. Smart move. I'll file the paperwork today. Back at the shop, I gathered my 5 employees for a quick meeting. Some of you saw what happened earlier. Stacy and I are no longer together. She might cause problems. If they show up here, do not engage. Call me and call the police. Diego nodded. Already briefed the guys while you were gone. We've got your back. I spent the rest of the afternoon doing damage control with clients who had witnessed the scene, offering discounts on labor, priority scheduling, anything to counter the bad impression. Most were understanding. A few even shared their own horror stories about bad breakups. That evening, Ryan came with me to my house so I could grab more of my things. While the restraining order was still processing, Stacy had let herself in with the spare key I'd forgotten she had. She was waiting. Ryan stood guard while I packed clothes, documents, and my vintage Harley parts collection, the same ones she'd already told her friends she planned to trash. You realize this is breaking and entering, right? I said calmly, grabbing my laptop. I have security cameras. This is all being recorded. It's not breaking in when I have a key. She shouted. You can't just end things over a stupid video. Watch me, I said, zipping my duffel bag. The locksmith arrived as we were leaving. I made sure he changed every lock while I stood there. I also had him install a smart doorbell camera, the kind that records motion and sends alerts to my phone. Cost me $840, but worth every penny for peace of mind. Back at Ryan's, I went into full financial lockdown mode, canceled every shared account, removed her as an authorized user from my cards, changed all my passwords, and set up fraud alerts. I knew enough about breakups to know money is often the first target. I also called vendors to cancel wedding arrangements. Most deposits were non-refundable, but a few were sympathetic given the circumstances. The venue manager refunded 60% after I showed him the video. The temporary restraining order came fast, just 48 hours after filing. Sarah highlighted the public humiliation, unauthorized entry to my home, the shop incident, and the constant calls as harassment. The judge agreed immediate protection was warranted. When Stacy was served, she exploded. She called me from a new number. A restraining order? Are you kidding me? I'm your fiancée, ex-fiancée, I corrected. And you're violating the restraining order by calling me. I hung up, forwarded the call log and voicemail to Sarah. Every interaction was more evidence for the permanent order hearing next week. That night, Robert called. Jensen, I hear my daughter was served with legal papers today. That's right, I said, bracing myself. Good, he said flatly. Maybe it'll finally sink in that actions have consequences. You're not mad, son. I'm furious, but not at you. I've spent 25 years trying to build character in that girl, and her mother spent the same amount of time undermining it. Karen's at the house right now telling Stacy how to fight this injustice. I'm calling you from my truck because I can't stand to be in there. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle, I said. Don't be. This has been a long time coming. Look, I wanted to warn you, Karen's telling Stacy they need to fight fire with fire. Whatever that means, it won't be good. Thanks for the heads up. I've got security cameras at the house and shop, and Sarah's documenting everything. Smart man. Keep your guard up. Once Stacy realized I wasn't bluffing with the legal action, the harassment went digital. My Spotify account got hijacked. My Amazon password was changed. Then I got notifications for thousands in charges on a credit card where she was still an authorized user, one I'd forgotten about. She'd gone on a $2,700 shopping spree at Nordstrom and Sephora. I called the credit card company, reported unauthorized use, and disputed the charges. They froze the account and opened a fraud investigation. Then she hit my vintage Triumph parts from our shared storage unit, rare finds worth about $2,200. I filed a police report for theft and added it to the case file. That storage unit was a rookie mistake. We'd rented it together 6 months ago when I cleared space in my garage for her home gym, which she used twice. I should have moved my stuff out right after the breakup, but with everything else, I hadn't. Things turned uglier when my sister Heather called, confused. Jensen, why is Stacy telling everyone you cheated on her? Her friend Zoe just texted me asking if I knew about your affair with someone at the shop. It's not true, I said. She's the one who cheated, and now she's trying to flip the script. Yeah, I figured. Just wanted to warn you she's spreading it around. Mom got a weird call from Karen too, something about you breaking Stacy's heart after she caught you. Great. They were going after my family. Now, that same day, Diego pulled me aside. Boss, we lost the Rodriguez account and the Freeman build. Both canceled this morning. That's weird. Did they say why? Diego hesitated. Mrs. Freeman said she'd heard disturbing things about how you treat women and didn't feel comfortable supporting the business. The dots connected instantly. Diego saw it too. She's trying to hit your reputation, he said. The Rodriguez and Freeman projects were worth $28,000 combined, not enough to sink us, but a hit to our quarterly numbers. Worse, they were well-connected clients who could influence others. I called Sarah immediately. They're spreading lies about me, and now it's costing me business. 2 female customers just pulled major projects. That's defamation, Sarah said firmly. We need to add this to the case and file separately. Do you have evidence tying Stacy or her friends to these claims? Working on it, I told her. I called my cousin's wife, Amy, the one who'd been at the live stream. She admitted the guilt had been eating at her. They have a group chat where they're coordinating everything, she said. I can send you screenshots. Amy had been friends with Stacy since college, but being married to my cousin put her in a tough spot. She clearly felt bad about what was happening. The screenshots were damning. Taylor had made a burner email account and was sending my clients messages claiming I had gambling debts, cheated on Stacy, and was unstable and dangerous. In one, she specifically said they should target female customers to hit him where it hurts his precious business. Stacy was actively encouraging it, writing, "He thinks he can just walk away and be fine. Let's see how he feels when his reputation is in the trash." There were even instructions on which clients to go after: first women-owned businesses and female customers with expensive bikes in the shop. They'd clearly combed through my social media to find them. I forwarded everything to Sarah. The temporary restraining order already prohibited this kind of behavior, so these were direct violations, making the permanent order a slam dunk and giving us grounds to go after damages. Then my phone rang. It was Robert again. "I've been hearing some concerning things." I told him about the defamation campaign. He went silent for a moment, then said, "Send me everything you have. This ends now." The next few days were nothing but a blur of damage control. I personally called every female client in our database, explaining that there were false rumors going around courtesy of my ex-fiancée. Most of them were understanding. A few were skeptical, but at least I'd gotten ahead of the story. Diego came up with the idea of hosting a customer appreciation day at the shop. We offered free basic maintenance checks, discounted oil changes, and catered BBQ from a local joint. It set us back about $1,500, but it brought in most of our regulars and helped squash the negative whispers. Several customers told me they'd gotten strange emails but hadn't believed them. 2 days before the hearing, I got a formal letter from Stacy's lawyer, John, offering to settle if I dropped my restraining order request and defamation claims. In return, Stacy wouldn't pursue her own claims of emotional distress and invasion of privacy. I forwarded it to Sarah, my lawyer, and she just laughed. Invasion of privacy for recording a public live stream? Emotional distress for what exactly? Being caught saying awful things about me? This is desperate posturing, Sarah said. They know they have no case. The hearing for the permanent restraining order and preliminary defamation case was scheduled just 1 week later. Sarah had pushed to expedite it, arguing that the ongoing business damage needed immediate action. Stacy walked in looking like she was auditioning for the role of a martyred saint, teary-eyed, wearing a conservative navy dress I'd never seen her in before. Gone were the designer jeans and crop tops. I'm pretty sure that dress came straight from Karen's closet. Karen was there too, glaring at me like I was the villain. Taylor was in the back, smirking, until the judge told her to sit down and be quiet or get tossed out. What I didn't expect was Robert sitting on my side of the courtroom, stone-faced, ramrod straight in a perfectly pressed suit. He gave me a small nod when I walked in. Their lawyer, John, tried to paint Stacy as a heartbroken woman who was just processing her grief in messy ways. "Your Honor," he said, "Mr. Thompson unilaterally ended a 3-year relationship over one unfortunate conversation. Ms. Parker's actions, while perhaps inappropriate, were merely emotional responses to being abandoned without warning. Sarah just played the live stream. Then she presented security footage from my shop, documentation of the unauthorized credit card charges, and Amy's sworn testimony about the defamation campaign." The screenshots from the group chat were especially damning when the judge saw Taylor's "make sure all his female customers know what a creep he is" message. His expression hardened. "Your Honor," Sarah said, "my client took immediate legal action rather than retaliating. He sought proper protection while Ms. Parker and her associates launched a coordinated attack on his reputation." She had affidavits from clients who'd canceled projects after receiving those anonymous emails, plus documentation of the disputed charges and the theft report for my stolen motorcycle parts. Karen leaned forward, whispering furiously in John's ear. He looked uncomfortable but stood up. "Your Honor, we'd like to introduce a character witness for Ms. Parker. Her father is present and would like to speak on her behalf." The judge nodded. "Mr. Parker, please step forward." Robert stood, but instead of going to their table, he walked to the center of the courtroom. "Your Honor, I came here today to speak the truth, not to defend the indefensible. My daughter and her mother believed I was here to support them, but I cannot in good conscience do that," Karen gasped. Stacy's eyes went wide. "I've known Jensen for 3 years. He's honest, hardworking, and has always respected my daughter. The behavior you saw in that video isn't how I raised her." He turned to Stacy. I'm deeply disappointed in who you've chosen to become. Karen jumped up. Robert, what are you doing? The judge banged his gavel. Ma'am, sit down or I'll have you removed. Robert kept going calmly. Your Honor, I fully support Jensen's request for protection and damages. Actions have consequences, and it's high time my daughter learned that lesson. After that, the judge wasn't buying Stacy's victim act. Ms. Parker, the court takes a very dim view of using defamation as a weapon in a personal dispute. The evidence here is quite clear. He granted the permanent restraining order. Stacy had to stay 100 yards away from me, my home, and my business. No contact, direct or indirect. No calls, no texts, no social media messages, and definitely no getting her friends to do her dirty work. For the defamation case, the judge issued a preliminary injunction ordering Stacy, Taylor, and the other named friends to immediately stop making any statements about me or my business. He also ordered them to send retraction emails to every client they had contacted. When John tried to protest, the judge cut him off cold. Your client has shown a pattern of harassment, made unauthorized charges, trespassed, disturbed his business, and coordinated defamation. If anything, Mr. Thompson showed restraint by not pursuing criminal charges. The order stands. The look on Stacy's face? Pure shock. Karen was sputtering about appeals and blaming everyone but her daughter. Taylor looked like she'd swallowed a wasp. When we walked out, Sarah gave me a satisfied nod. The defamation suit will continue. We'll be seeking damages for lost business and punitive damages for the malicious nature of their actions. I expect they'll want to settle. Robert came up to me in the hallway. I shook his hand and thanked him. As I left the courthouse, I mentally tallied my losses: $18,000 in non-refundable wedding deposits, $9,000 for the engagement ring which I still had but would probably sell at a loss, $3,700 in fraudulent credit card charges still in dispute, $2,200 in stolen parts, and around $28,000 in lost business from canceled projects, roughly $60,000 total. And that didn't even include new locks, security cameras, legal fees, or the incalculable damage to my personal and professional reputation. All told, this relationship had cost me nearly $70,000. But honestly, it could have been worse if I'd married her. Thank God I dodged a nuke, not a bullet. Sarah was right. 3 days later, John called her with an offer: $15,000 in business damages plus my legal fees in exchange for me signing an NDA about the livestream. I told Sarah, I'll take the money, but no NDA. That video is my insurance policy. John came back with a counter, $20,000 plus fees, with a limited ENDA only preventing me from posting the video online. I accepted. The settlement was signed a week later. It's been 6 months since, and the aftermath has been pure karma. The restraining order and defamation judgment are now public record. My dream wedding savings are gone, devoured by lawyers, settlements, and lost deposits. Robert filed for divorce from Karen 2 days after the court hearing. 27 years of marriage over in a heartbeat. Word is he was done with her, enabling Stacy's worst behavior, and seeing her help orchestrate the smear campaign was the final straw. He cut Stacy off financially. She had to move in with Karen, who's struggling with the divorce herself. Robert's security firm was worth a lot, and Karen had signed a prenup years ago that severely limited what she could claim. I heard Robert sold their Westlake Hills house and bought a ranch outside Fredericksburg. Taylor lost her marketing job after her boss, an avid motorcyclist and occasional customer at my shop, saw evidence of her campaign against me, including using company time to send those defamatory emails. Turns out, interfering with someone's business isn't exactly career building. As for me, I moved into a new place across town. Better garage, more space for my tools and projects, and proper ventilation for painting and mechanical work. Business has been booming since. I hired 2 more mechanics, expanded our fabrication department, and now we're booked solid for 8 months, turning away basic service work to focus on high-margin custom builds. Diego, who had my back through all of this, is now my business partner with a 15% stake. His investment sped up our expansion plans. 2 months ago, Robert stopped by the shop. He handed me a bottle of bourbon and a set of rare Harley cylinder heads I'd been hunting for. Thought you could use these for that 48 pan head you mentioned, he said, and figured we could share a drink. No reason to good men can't stay friends. I took both gladly. We still meet up every other week for drinks and bike talk. Some connections are worth keeping.